Here are 15 Rogue Legends tips and tricks. Number 1. Know your rounds. The rounds in Rogue Legends are much more difficult than the base game. You face camos on round 6 and purples and leads on round 7, so make sure you're able to handle them by that time. In the first couple stages, I use a combination of 2 to 3 monkeys, maybe a crossbow and an alchemist or a shimmer and druid. But later in the campaign, when you get some good artifacts, you should get a monkey that can solo the early game. After this, there are really only 2 rounds you need to be aware of, 15 and 35. Round 15 is when Moab class Bloons start spawning, and 35 is when DDTs start to come, so be prepared for those. Number 2. Look out for legendary tiles. Some fights or campfires have a golden sparkly effect on them. This means that they're a legendary tile. If it's on a balloon, you get a legendary artifact after beating it, and if it's on a campfire, you get to upgrade an artifact all the way to a legendary, or you can mentor a monkey up to a tier 5. These play a huge role in what route I take each stage, as a legendary artifact can turn the tides in a campaign. Speaking of routes, we have number 3, short routes matter. Taking the long route can be tempting because you get more opportunities for campfires, challenge tiles, chests, and shops, but there is one big downside. Every fight you take not only makes the future fights go later, but also adds 5% health and speed to ceramics and Moab class Bloons. And by the time you reach the final boss fight, these modifiers can stack up to them having nearly double health and speed. On my strongest run so far, I had to take on a stage 5 Bloonarius with everything having 170% stats. And while I could chunk through the boss, those fortified bats and huge numbers of ZOMGs were tough to pop. Number 4. Restarts. Normally, restarting a fight costs you one of your precious lives, but if you haven't completed the first round yet, it costs nothing. This is a great way to see what monkeys you can afford at the start, what balloons come that round, or if you're on a boss tile, you can see where they spawn. It really helps to not overthink things, get your starting lineup set, and get the placements right. Number 5. Healing. Campfires let you take on one of 4 actions. You can recruit new monkeys to your party, mentor a monkey up and upgrade, enhance an artifact to make it better, or to heal if you've lost any lives. Now, all of these are great options, and healing is definitely the lamest of the 4, but staying alive is really all that matters at the end of the day. So if I'm ever down to 1 or 2 hearts, I like to heal. This way, we can always get a retry, and if we have 3 lives, we can even lose and skip a fight if we absolutely have to. Plus, there are times where mentoring or enhancing don't add that much value to your party, so I like to take advantage of these times to heal up. Number 6. Enhance first. Mentoring a monkey at a campfire can be amazing, as it makes the monkey significantly cheaper than placing him down and upgrading him. However, there are times that enhancing an artifact also provides you with an upgraded monkey. For example, I wanted to mentor my druid up to a 102 to eventually make him a Poplust, but I found that enhancing my artifact changed what it adds to the party from a 101 druid to a 102. So I got the same monkey as if I mentored, but I also got the benefits of a better artifact. Number 7. Recruiting. Once you go into the recruiting menu of a campfire, there's no going back, so make sure you don't have a good monkey to mentor or artifact to enhance before going in there. I personally have stayed away from the recruiting section, as I'd rather spend my valuable campfires upgrading the strategy that's already working for me. Several artifacts give you the monkey they affect, and I normally build off those. But if you don't have this luxury though, recruiting is a great way to turn a run around. Number 8. Attack modifiers. Some artifacts give a modifier to a tower's attacks. This seems straightforward at first, but it applies to every attack. Alchemical engineering lets tier 3 and higher engineers convert Bloons to gold. The only thing is this applies to his cleansing foam, so you can de-camo, de-lead, and apply the gold status all at once. Esoteric Elementalist makes wizard monkeys have a chance to blow back, freeze, or set Bloons on fire, and this works from his walls of fire to his decamoing shimmer. And the coolest one in my opinion is Corrosive Torpedarts, which makes tier 3 and higher subs glue Bloons, and this affects its submerge and support mode. So my submerged subs were applying Bloon Solver acid to everything that came in their range, making for a super easy early game. Number 9. Don't commit. Don't commit to a strategy until you have 2 or 3 artifacts going for it. You don't really get to pick what artifacts and monkeys you get throughout a run, so try to go with the flow. In the start, you won't have any good combos, but once you see some artifacts starting to work together, lean into it. It doesn't mean you have to continue with the strat for the rest of the game, but you can use them to do well on challenge tiles and get even better artifacts. In the run I was talking about earlier, I had a super strong buffing build when I got the Bloon Solver submarines. At first, I thought it would just be fun to play with, but later I was offered an artifact that made us deal double damage to glued balloons. So we turned our early game reactor into a staple of our late game defense. Number 10, the essence of bosses. The boss at the end of the stage will always give you their specific legendary artifact. This is the only artifact you can bank on mid-run, and you can start to plan ahead. If you fight phase, you know that you'll have permanent camo detection going forward. Bloonarius gives tier 3 monkeys and lower 1.5 times damage and double pierce. Dreadbloon makes every monkey count as every category. Blastopopulus makes tier 5 monkeys and level 20 heroes burn bloons, and those burning bloons take extra damage from other sources. And Vortex makes tier 5 monkeys and level 20 heroes knock back bloons and blimps. So when you see what boss you'll have at the end of the stage, you can start to form a plan on what artifacts will go well with his. Number 11, extracting. Speaking of beating the end of stage boss, you get the option to extract an artifact after each of these fights. This gives you a permanent copy to bring into future campaigns, but leaves you without it for the rest of your current one. This is amazing as you can plan future campaigns around them. Now, a great option is to find an OP artifact and extract it so you can keep it forever, but that might sacrifice your run. So I recommend going for the win and extracting good artifacts you aren't currently using up to their potential, or just okay ones that would be nice at the start of a new campaign. My goal is to extract them all, but beating all 5 stages is more important to me, especially because of number 12. You can extract after the stage 5 boss. That's right, even though the campaign is over, you get one last extraction, so pick your best or favorite artifact and send that thing home. I thought there was a chance that I could go into endless mode after winning, so I picked a lame one to extract, but I'll never make that mistake again. Number 13, exiting boss rushes. Normally, you can exit a fight and load back into the round you were on, but if you do this on a boss rush tile, it counts as a loss, no matter what your score was when you left. I tried this when I was above the legendary reward and I had to spend a life to redo it. Additionally, there's no benefit to scoring above the top prize, so feel free to sell your towers and let the boss through when you're ready. Number 14, temporary boosts. In fights, you get to pick between temporary boosts or new insta-monkeys every few rounds. In general, I prefer the boosts because they stack up incredibly fast, cost no money, and make the strategy that's already working for you even stronger. This is great if you're running monkeys all from a single category, so you can buff them with the category-specific boosts, like magic monkeys getting extra attack speed. But if you have a mix of all the categories, the all-category boosts are fine too. They're just a bit smaller. Really, the only times I pick up one of the monkeys is if I'm desperate for more damage or camo detection and it solves my problem, or if I know I'm going to win and I just want to mix things up. Other than that, the temp boosts have been my bread and butter and have made the fights much easier. Number 15, delete bad artifacts. When opening a chest, you have to pick an artifact to add to your collection. This doesn't sound that bad, but once you get to the end of a campaign, you might only get artifacts that make your strategy worse. Luckily, you can just open up the artifact menu and delete any you don't want. Ideally, you can make it to a shop and sell them, but if it's that important, you can drop them no problem. But that was 15 Rogue Legends tips and tricks. And if you're thinking about picking up the DLC, please use creator code Hbomb. It helps me out a lot.